Sometimes things just don't go according to plan. A glitch, a slow day, some random obstacle just pops up and tries to derail your entire day. Well, today we're going to talk about how to turn those moments into your biggest advantages. Because look, it's not about avoiding problems, it's about how you handle them. That's what really separates the winners from everyone else.
This quote right here, this perfectly sums up what literally happened just a few minutes before we hit record. Seriously, this isn't some theory I cooked up. This is a real-time lesson in resilience, and I want to walk you through it, because honestly, it's something every single one of us has to deal with. So, picture this. The intro video's playing, everything's looking good, and then, bam, my main laptop screen just goes completely black. I'm sitting here, wiggling the mouse, tapping keys, thinking, oh no, do I have to shut the whole thing down? And at the exact same time, I realize our live feed didn't post into our private group like it was supposed to. It's that classic moment, right? That split second where you think, is this whole thing just going to fall apart before it even gets started? But this is where the real work happens. We're going to use this whole mess as our core metaphor for today. How do you handle a disturbed seed in your business and maybe more importantly in your own head? We're going to use, because a little glitch like that, it's just like a gust of wind trying to uproot everything you've planted. The goal isn't to hope for no wind, it's to secure the seed so it can handle the storm. Okay, so a problem hits. The screen goes black. The first instinct for a lot of people might be to panic or just give up. But nope. Step 2, you don't quit. You replant. You find another way. We got the feed posted manually. And then, and this is the most important part, you pack that seed down. You make sure it's packed in there so tight that the wind can't just come along and knock it loose. It's all about building a foundation and a mindset that's way stronger than any single glitch.
And this is what comes out of that process. Consistency isn't about being perfect all the time. It's about being present. We've been doing this for 38 straight weeks. And yeah, there have been delays, there have been hiccups for sure. But showing up, even when it's messy, that's exactly what puts you in the position to catch those big wins when they come.
Think about your business journey like the weather. You might have a whole week of just gray, cloudy, drizzly days where it feels like you're going nowhere. You're not seeing the likes, not getting the comments, nothing seems to be growing. And then, out of nowhere, one bright, sunny day hits. And that one day reminds you exactly why you kept pushing through all the gloom. That single breakthrough makes all that consistency totally worth it.
All right, so all that resilience, it needs fuel, right? And that's where we make a little shift here, from just mindset to a really practical tool. I want to talk about the Welcome to the Hustleverse Edutainment Bundle, because what you're consuming, what you're feeding your brain, that directly impacts your ability to push through all those cloudy days.
You know those online freebies you see everywhere? So many of them are just documents full of vague words. They're designed to leave you with more questions so they can sell you the next thing. They don't actually empower you. I wanted to do the exact opposite. My goal here is to show you, way better than I could ever tell you. This isn't just info, it's education and entertainment. See, most people give you words. I want to give you fuel.
What on earth does that mean, right? A battle anthem? Think about the movie Rocky. When he gets knocked down and he's got to start that training montage, what happens? That theme music kicks in. Gonna fly now. That music, that's his battle anthem. It feels like he can almost hear it himself, fueling him as he's running up those steps. Sometimes you don't need another PDF with more information. You need an emotional soundtrack to push you through the grind.
And trust me, I learned this firsthand. I used to have a courier job where I drove 92 miles each way. That's almost 2 hours in the car just to get to my first pickup spot, and that's before the real work even started. There is no way I could have done that day in and day out, waking up at 5 a.m. in total silence. Music has fueled my grind my entire life. It kept me awake, it kept me motivated, it kept me focused. It can turn a grueling task into a mission.
Okay, so that brings us to the real opportunity of the day. We've talked about mindset, we've talked about fuel, now let's talk about timing. Because right now there is a massive time-sensitive opportunity on the table, and I want to give you a shot to get in on the ground floor. Just a few days ago, we held a live event over in the United Kingdom. It was a pretty small, exclusive group. And during that event, we pulled back the curtain on something that is about to change the entire game for our community. The people in that room, they got a sneak peek at a massive, massive update. So here's what they saw. A completely brand new website, a full rebrand of the entire system, new AI-assisted tools that are designed to get rid of all that daily friction that stops most people dead in their tracks, and a completely new business structure. This is a total overhaul designed for one thing and one thing only:
creating the easiest possible path to success for you.
And the reaction in the room, it was immediate. People weren't just sitting there nodding along. I'm talking, they were literally grabbing their phones right in the middle of the presentation, messaging their teams, trying to figure out how to lock in their spot before anyone else in the world even knew this thing existed. The people at that event, they already moved on it.
And this is so critical for you to understand. This isn't just about getting some new information. This is about securing a strategic first mover advantage before the rest of the crowd even shows up. The people at that event, they got it instantly. And now, it's your turn. Just look at this timeline right here. A few days ago, the UK attendees saw it. Today, right now, on our live training, you get to see exactly what they saw. But very soon, this is launching to the public. This little window right here, this is your one chance to get positioned before the doors swing wide open for everyone.
So let's bring this all back to our main idea today. What does it actually mean to get to plant your seed before everybody else even has access to seeds? It means you get a head start that can literally change everything for you.
This right here, this is the power of that head start. While everyone else is just getting their tools ready and trying to figure out where to dig, your seed is already in the ground. You're already watering it. By the time they finally start planting, your garden is already growing. It's simple. If you get the seed first, your harvest comes first.
The live training we're holding this Thursday, that is your opportunity to get the exact same insider walkthrough that those UK attendees got. You're going to see the new site, you'll understand the new tools, and you'll see exactly why everyone in that room was scrambling to get themselves in position.
And that's really what this all comes down to, isn't it? You don't sit on information like this. You move on it. This is your chance to stop being reactive and finally start being proactive. So the question you should be asking yourself is, am I going to wait for the crowd, or am I going to plant my seed right now and get those early rewards? The choice is all yours.
Freedom ain't the weekend. It's a mindset. It's that moment you realize your time is the real currency. We don't clock out. We cash in on purpose. Welcome to Freedom Friday. With vision, Friday end with proof. I ain't build no luck, I built the truth. 17 weeks, no breaks, no flinch. Consistency, my cloth, can't tear an inch. The grind feels sacred when you know your lane. Turn struggle to syllabus, pressure to gain. I used to chase weekends, now I own my days. Design my time, redefine pay. Boss of my rhythm, freedom in sight. Every scroll I wrote got another so right. They talk hustle, but they miss the plan. Work for peace, that's the real demand. From the live to the link to the legacy taught. I ain't sold out, I sold thoughts that bought. Every small trickle now flows like rain. Freedom Friday, I broke those chains.
It's Freedom Friday, we made it through the grind. Oh yeah, time to free your peace of mind. Let go that fear, we rise and strive. Strong are we rise.
I earn my rest cause I earn my grind. Peace ain't cheap when you bought your time. Every no I heard was a lesson taught. Every delay was a seed I bought. From comment credits to crowns of faith. Freedom Friday ain't a date, it's a state. Made discipline sexy, consistency cool. I ain't follow they trend, I rewrote the rule. Hustle berry sing the souls back home. While I talk numbers on the microphone. Edutainment the vibe, we built this bridge. Music meet money on the same bridge. Friday ain't weak, it's strong by design. Freedom the fruit of a disciplined mind. Celebrate now, we ain't done by far. We ain't chasing weekends, we chasing stars.
It's Freedom Friday, we made it through the grind.
mind don't sleep, I let peace work shift. I ain't burnt out, I refine my gift. Scroll after scroll, turn story to seed. Now faith pay interest on everything I lead. I ain't waiting on Friday to feel alive. Every day now got that freedom vibe. No clock in, no boss tone calling. Self-made CEO of my morning. Used to measure worth by the payday sums. Now I measure peace by how calm I become. From dark weeks to bright ends we grow. Freedom ain't luck, it's what we know. Built my legacy off discipline, say. Now every Friday feels like heaven's pay. Hustle, bear, let and bury, harmonize. Freedom Friday, we monetize the rise.
It's Freedom Friday. Made it through the grind. Oh yeah. Time to free your peace of mind. Strong all week now. Watch us fly. It's Freedom Friday. We built this up. We built this life. We built this life.
You do not quit because you stop believing. You quit because the quiet starts rewriting the story in your head. No notifications, no reactions, no signs you are doing it right. That is when doubt gets loud, not because you failed, but because your effort is not echoing back yet. If you have ever questioned yourself, on January 1st, the world will experience something unlike anything. It is the day the Hustleverse officially makes it its debut. Welcome to the Hustleverse will be the first installment of the greatest collection of edutainment music to ever be created for the Hustleverse, and your first opportunity to get access to a movement designed to inspire, motivate, and fuel real hustlers. 2026 album of the year has arrived, and this is just the beginning.
I give you food for action, don't choke on the truth. This lesson I prepare was made just for you. Feast up, I'll keep serving till the pot run dry. Got enough cooking to feed the whole country, no lie. Too many flavors, you know, I got what you like. Don't start beefing with me, you won't win this fight. If you come in peace, keep your teeth intact. I got a plan to get this cake, come grab a stack. Life could be sweet, if you listen, you'll see. Food for action on a platter, served fresh by me. I'm serving knowledge on plates, got the recipe down. A blend of hustle and wisdom, that's my sound. I'm feeding the masses, no crumbs, full course. But if you bring nothing to the table, find the door. Stop acting like you got beef, it won't taste right. This flavor's reserved for those ready.
Okay, family, we are live. We are live. And once again, I want to welcome you guys back to another episode of the Hustlers 10-Minute a Day Challenge. Today is Strong 38, day 5, and we are right at 14 minutes into today's challenge. And let's get right to it. Let's peel back the curtain. And as I peel back the curtain, the screen on my laptop just went black, but it is what it is, right? It's always something. I've learned to accept complications. I've learned to accept that challenges occur and things happen unexpectedly. That's seemingly my everyday situation. And when you start getting into the habit of constantly having challenges, those challenges no longer become challenges, right? They become, just the regular run of the mill normal. And a lot of people, their lives are like that on a daily basis. They go through challenges, struggles, that the average person, or not the average person, but some people just can't understand. Some people go through challenges in life that, could break any other person. You might have a life where you're working 12-hour shifts. You still have to come home to a family, take care of kids, be there for your mate, and still have some time for yourself, which, you might cut that down to just being able to watch a half an hour TV show. And then you might not even make it through the whole show. You might start watching it and you're so tired from your day that you fall asleep. And then it seems like instantly, as soon as you fall asleep, you hear an alarm clock going off in your head. You hear this alarm clock that's waking you up, telling you that it's time to get back up and do it all over again. For some people, that's their daily cycle. And it becomes a situation at a certain point where it becomes normal. It becomes part of their routine. Their body builds up a sense of muscle memory. And it's kind of like the first thing that pops into my mind is that one saying, that one joke that I used to hear a long time ago about a person riding down the street and they see a dog sitting on the porch. And the dog is sitting there because it has its foot stuck on a nail. At a certain point, you're watching, you see that situation and you say, man, I wonder why the dog isn't, you know, trying to get the nail out of its foot. But then you realize that the dog has been sitting there for so long with the nail in its foot that it's numb to the pain. It's numb to the situation as a whole. It's just something that it's grown accustomed to dealing with. Now, if it was you and you were to experience this situation, this type of situation and this pain, you would probably be rushing to try to pull that nail out, try to get to an emergency room, try to get some form of help. But for a lot of people, they go through tragic situations and they stay stuck in it. It becomes their norm and they don't even look for help. At this point, it's just like it is what it is. Have you ever heard anybody say that saying, it is what it is, no matter what? They'll complain about not having time freedom. They'll complain about having not enough money at the end of the month. And you'll say, well, what do you plan on doing about that? And their response is, well, it is what it is. I just have to deal with it. I'm going to keep working this job. Maybe I might see if I can get some overtime. Maybe I might, try to get a second job, which I know currently I don't have enough time to actually work a second job with everything that I have to balance, right? But people will say anything. But a few people, a small select group of people, they decide to take matters into their own hands. And they decide that instead of working harder, they want to work smarter. They want to put themselves in a position where not only are they earning more of an income, but they're also able to buy back more of their time. Now, if you're interested in, finding ways to buy back your time along with earning more income from home, we have an amazing system that's here designed for you that will help you do just that. That will help you get back more of your time while helping you learn some valuable skills. Now, the skill set alone for, you know, certain people that find value in valuable things, the skill set alone will help you not only with your online business, but it will help you in your overall life when it comes to, building relationships, dealing with, family, friends, everything overall. It's not just about building an online business where, you fill up your bank account and now your bank account is full and you just go spend money, go waste money. I know a lot of people feel like if they had an unlimited amount of money, they would spend all of their time on a vacation, partying, doing whatever it is. But we know that for a lot of people, success and having a lot of money isn't always a good thing. It's not a good thing depending on your mindset. They say money amplifies what a person already is, unless they develop a mindset that's designed to deal with having this newfound money. Have you ever heard of the curse of the lottery? That's something that's been going around for years, for decades. People talk about people that go from being broke and poor to instantly being millionaires. And then months down the line, or maybe just a couple of years down the line, they're in a worse off situation than they were before they won the lottery. Some people find themselves in deep debt because they overspend, because they haven't conditioned their mindset in order to know how to balance and manage the money that they have. They never learned how to deal and work with a dollar. So when they get $1 million, the situation and their habits become a lot worse. Some people, they're addicted to drugs. They, drink a lot, alcohol. And the only reason why they haven't killed themselves or something with the drugs and the alcohol is because being poor and broke is what's been keeping them from being able to consume so much. So in some cases, being broke and poor has saved a lot of people's lives. Whereas them being able to have all the money in the world, access to everything that they want, that has led to their ultimate doom. Now, I know a lot of people don't talk about that. They want to talk about the bright side of being rich, being famous, having plenty of money, being able to live that lifestyle that people talk about on TV. They talk about it on TV, but then when the cameras go off, it's a whole other situation. They're stressed out about things that they would never talk to you about in front of the camera. But today is what we call Freedom Friday. We've been here on Freedom Friday a few times now. 38 times to be exact. 38 strong weeks. We've presented you with daily actions, daily inspiration, daily motivation, skills that you can use to actually build an online business and to actually develop a mindset that hopefully will allow you to deal with what this potential success might lead you to. I want you to be able to get in the mind frame of having structure, having something to look forward to, having a sense of hustle, and being able to balance that with logical thinking, not getting too emotional. Emotions are okay, but I tell you guys all the time, don't get stuck in your emotions. And as we see in the world today, a lot of people have a hard time balancing between emotions and logic. People get so emotionally charged up that things happen. They find themselves in bad situations. They find themselves in such bad situations that their logic cannot get them out of those bad situations, right? So we want to be able to have a healthy balance. Get emotional about something, but then find a way to snap out of that as soon as possible so that you can start thinking about it logically. Now, if you need an extra income, yeah, emotionally, the first thing you might say is, I need another job. I need to get a second job. But logically, the logical answer might not be that. Because logically, you know that, hey, you're already working yourself into into a slumber, as we just mentioned. You barely have enough energy to watch a half an hour show when you get home. And now you're thinking about putting yourself in a situation where it's going to make that even worse. In your quest to earn more financially, you're affecting something else. It's always a yin and yang type of situation. It could lead to certain health challenges. It could lead to relationship problems. Yeah, people say, hey, well, I got to do what I got to do. I got to make this money. So I'm going to be away from my family a little bit more. I'm going to, not be able to spend as much time with my spouse than, what kind of problems that could possibly cause, right? But I guess people say, hey, you got to sacrifice sometimes. Everything's a sacrifice. The family, the friends, they got to be understanding in that situation. But we know that everybody isn't as understanding about a situation. People want what's right for them. They want their needs to be met. And if you're not meeting their needs, then bad things can happen. So we have to learn how to balance things out. We have to learn how to understand that we need certain things, and then we have to go research and find alternate ways to actually getting more of what we want without having to sacrifice and risk so much of the things that we don't want to lose. So today, I don't want to keep you guys too long in today's live, but I just wanted to have a little bit of fun because in the midst of what everybody has going on, everything that's going on in the world, I pulled up a couple of articles and you know, it's three things that pop up in my head. Three things that I saw. Tourette's, war, and firing. So once again, Tourette's, war, and firing. So recently there was a situation at a award show where famous actor, he was standing up, he was giving a speech, and it was at a ceremony that was designed to help people with Tourette's. It was like a benefit type of situation. And unfortunately, it was a black actor who was standing up there who, you know, just yesterday we were just talking about him being awarded, having his award for his accomplishment in his movie Sinners. We talked about that in the previous live also, right? But in this situation here, it was a controversial situation where one of the members of the audience blurted out a racial slur. They said the N word. This man right here. Now, it was a controversial situation because, once again, this was an event designed for people who have Tourette's. And unfortunately, this gentleman right here suffers with Tourette's. And he blurted out that N word right in the midst of this gentleman right here giving a speech. And that sent shockwaves through media. So, of course, in every situation, there's opposing sides. There's that yin and there's a yang side. So some people understood, a lot of people did not understand. Me personally, I understand it, but I don't understand it at the same time. When you think about particular conditions and things like Tourette's, where a person can't help but blurt out and, they'll yell out something, and it's usually something obscene from what I'm finding out or from what I know about this condition. But of all the words that a person could actually blurt out, this is where it becomes, to some people, not acceptable. When you blurt out certain words while certain people are speaking, then it starts to sound like it's directed towards that person. Now, no matter what condition you have, if you blurt out a certain word, people are going to think that, you know, that word is in your vocabulary somehow, right? That word doesn't just pop up here and there. We can't just solely blame it on Tourette syndrome, right? Maybe we can. Maybe he might have seen somebody else up there and he might have blurted out the same word. I don't know how likely that is, but it raised a lot of controversy because it becomes a discussion of whether or not it was racially motivated or was it just part of his condition. So we have things like that, right, that's floating around in media. And I know this is something that people don't really talk about. I know we're talking about online marketing, affiliate marketing, things like that. People say, hey, you want to keep everything PG. You don't want to talk about politics. You don't want to talk about religion. You don't want to talk about things that get people riled up. Well, me personally, I didn't get into this industry to be restricted. I didn't get into this industry which allows me to have financial freedom, time freedom, and then sacrifice my personality. I don't want to be restricted and not be free to be myself. So you have to have, I guess, in that aspect, you would say the Holy Trinity. I don't want to become a different person just to fit a mold for what people feel like I'm supposed to be. Now, I see a lot of online marketers go through situations and they keep their composure, or they play a role. They play a role like a character on TV. And then when the cameras go off, they go back to their normal self. Well, we all play a little roles. We all do that a little bit, right? Me personally, I do that. I present myself in a certain way to deliver a message to my audience, to my community. And I also tell you that if it was off camera, depending on what the situation is, you might get a different side to me. I like to use 4 and 5 letter words. So if that's you, then we possibly could be friends. We probably could hang out, have a good time, and things like that, and be ourselves around each other. So I want you to know that. I want you to know that, of course, I say it all the time that I'm a little petty. So I'm not the type of person that, deals with, you know, back and forth situations very well. I'm not an argumentative type of person. I'd rather use my hands. So that's another thing. But overall, everybody has their personalities and the things that make them tick. But with this situation here, it's a condition. Now, I want to just read what it says here at the top because this might stir some controversy. And of course, I'm talking about this for educational purposes because when you're doing online marketing, you're going to find that there's going to be things that you feel you want to post about, things that you might feel restricted about. You might say to yourself, hey, I can't talk about this, I can't talk about that. And then you might find that you might slip up sometime. You might post something that is controversial, and that is the thing that gets the most engagement. It happens all the time. Whereas instead, when you're posting stuff about your business, when you're trying to be positive, uplifting and motivating and things like that, that kind of stuff falls under the radar. People like sensationalism, they like drama. That's what gets the algorithm going, unfortunately, right? But it says here, this gentleman, John Davidson, says he will never apologize for having Tourette syndrome after BAFTA slur toward Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo. Now, some people might read that and interpret it one way. Other people will read it and interpret it another way. That's just the nature of the beast when it comes to being in the public spotlight, when it comes to, sharing information. Now, he particularly said that he will never apologize for having Tourette's syndrome, and nor should he have to. It's a condition that he didn't choose to have it. It's something that occurred. It's something that happened to him that now leaves him in a position that he can't control himself. But yeah, I know I hear people in the back, they're yelling, hey, well, you can have whatever condition you want, but you better not say this, that, and the third. That's your opinion. That's your emotional way of looking at things. People get trapped in their emotions once again. And let's say you in the real world and somebody has Tourette's and they walk past you and they say that magical word. That'll trigger you. That'll trigger a specific person. They'll get in their emotions, and whether they know the person has Tourette's or not, even after they find out that the person has Tourette's, that might still, they'll still be caught up in their emotions, and it might cause them to do something that their logical mind can't get them out of. So we have to be aware of things in the world. And we have to view things in the world and see, once again, how we can use things to our benefit. So even though he said this statement, it's nothing crazy about what he said, but people will find something controversial about it and say possibly that he's saying that he's not apologizing for saying that particular word. Some people might say, well, hey, he probably says that word all the time, even when he's not having a Tourette's outburst. Well, no publicity is bad publicity in a lot of cases. Now, depending on what he wants people to know about him or the message or even this whole BAFTA, that whole situation there, this controversy has given them a lot of attention. Now, for better or worse, this award ceremony, a lot more people know about it than has ever known about it before. And it's because of a bad situation, a situation that possibly couldn't be avoided. Maybe it could have been handled differently, but it's still benefiting select group of people, right? And when you're doing online marketing, you have to be willing to, put yourself out there. You might not want to be controversial. You might not think that what you're posting about is controversial, but you might find that, hey, you just promoting your business. You just telling somebody, hey, I have this opportunity to help people change their lives for the better. I have this product or service that's going to help people do this, that, and the third. You might find that there's a few people in the comments that get offended by that. They might call you names, and they might not even have Tourette's, right? They might just be regular people and they'll call you names just because you're trying to do something to better your life. Now, I mentioned war. That's another thing. We're not going to get too deep into the war aspect because we know what's going on in the world. We know, hopefully, we know what's going on in the world. Hopefully, you don't just live up under a rock and the rock is just about, online marketing, and you've been told to stay in a box where you don't pay attention to politics, you don't pay attention to religion, you don't everything around you just ignore. You just have a straight tunnel vision. Hopefully you don't live like that. But for those who don't live like that, we know that there's a war going on outside. No man is safe from. Some people might know that line right there. That's a Mob Deep line if you're into hip hop. But there's things going on in the world. There's wars out there, and we're in a point now where, a lot of things is becoming so controversial. Even when you're in a particular country like the United States and you see what's going on in the world and you hear about war, even the citizens of a particular country can start to turn on their own leadership in that particular country and say, hey, they're the ones that's wrong. They shouldn't be doing this. They shouldn't be doing that. And they might side with the enemy, so to speak. That happens. You're going to find all types of people. And you have to be aware that no matter what you do, there's always going to be someone that opposes you. Whether you feel like you're doing something for the betterment of your community, for your family, it's going to happen. Nothing's 100%. I wish I could turn on social media and see that there's 100,000 views on something, on a video, and there's 100,000 likes on that same video. And every comment in that video is a positive one. I haven't found anything like that yet. I'm gonna keep looking, but for the most part, I haven't found something that has a 100% positive rating. Now, let's jump off of war because we know what's going on. There's a lot of tragic things going on in the world. And the last thing that I mentioned was firing. So we have a recent firing. Christy Nome, She was recently fired from her position as head of Homeland Security, right? So people have been calling for her impeachment for the longest. People have been calling for her to be ousted. But she's recently spoken in front of Congress, I believe. She's been put under the microscope. They've asked her specific questions. Always one side um, likes the answers that their particular person that they want to support gives, and then the other side, they completely hate it. They say, man, that's the wrong answer. It's always a back and forth. But in this case here, she's been relieved of her duties as the director of Homeland Security, right? But that doesn't mean that it's over for her. So a lot of people might get the news, hear the news, and say, hey, she's been fired. And people might get excited and happy about that and say, hey, she's gone. She's out of her job. She's out of her position. But then they don't read the full story. They don't, go any deeper. They run with the headline that she's been fired. And that, that Vince McMahon saying, you're fired. And also in that Donald Trump saying, you're fired, right? People hear that and they say it's over. But they don't read farther. They don't see that she's not just fired, but she actually has a new position. She's been relocated, so to speak. She's not completely out of the picture. So where is she going to be? Hmm. Her new role as the special envoy for the Shield of the Americas. Now I got to do some research. Special envoy for the Shield of the Americas. I got to find out, what is that all about? What is that position truly about? It makes me think about that movie. I forget the name of it, but it just comes to mind real quick, where these people, they work in the office, and this guy, he has one position, he's doing his job, and then his manager says, he comes by, he stands by the door, and he says, you know something? I've been thinking about changing some things up around here. And I found that there's another position available. I want you to, this office, I want to give this office to somebody else. He tells the guy, well, I got another office for you. And he makes the guy pack up his stuff and he moves him to another office. And this situation keeps happening over and over again. And the offices keep getting smaller and smaller until it gets to a point where the guy, he ends up somewhere like down in the basement. They relocate him to the basement. They never really fire him, but they just continuously relocate him. And I'm gonna have to look that movie up so I could watch it again because it's funny. But at the end of the day, he relocates, and something funny happens at the end of the movie where he gets tired of it. One of the other employees or something, or he does, he gets tired of it and he actually sets the whole building on fire. That's a movie, but we've seen in real life where people, things happen, they get stuck in their emotions, they get moved around, they get kicked around, they get, treated a certain way, and then they want to blow up the whole system, so to speak. They want to, say, hey, if I can't do it, nobody can. There's situations like that. But today, I just want to close out on this Freedom Friday with something. I want to close out with something fun, because Tourette's, war, firing, they could be exciting for some people, but here in the Hustler's Secret Success System, which is within the Hustleverse, we have something that we can actually look forward to that hopefully gets a positive rating 100% across the board. We have an opportunity where we can learn some foundational skills that'll teach us how to manage not only our online business, but it'll teach us how to manage our mindset so that we can, not totally avoid our emotions, but we can learn how to internalize them, how to look at our emotions as being nothing different from anybody else's. So that if we can identify who we are, then that can better help us serve and identify who our target audience is, because those people, they'll more than likely be going through the same type of emotions, same type of thinking that we do. So if we understand, hey, what gets us going, what gets us riled up, what news headline moves us, then we can possibly recreate those situations for our ideal target audience. And we can use that to our benefit. So today, I want to just scroll through the most valuable document in all of online marketing. And I want to start out by clicking this button right here where we're going to access our personal chat GPT. And this one right here, this gives you access to the Hustler's Secret Success System, GPT, where you can use that to help you build your online business. So if you want to get information on what to post for the day, information on our products and services, information on how to actually operate the Hustler's 10 Minute a Day Challenge, you can use this to create your lyrics, to your music, to everything that you want, right? So I want to do something. I want to I want to do something a little bit different when it comes to what type of song I want to create, right? So we want to create some music. I always go with hip hop because that's my favorite. I usually go with R&B too. Acoustic indie, I don't think I've done that before. Uh, EDM, uplift, EDM, I haven't done that. Orchestral rap, maybe I might want to try that. Nah. Let's pass it up. See, sometimes I get stuck in the moment where I want to come up with something and I get excited by the possibility of what we have to offer. So I'm gonna do this one because I haven't done this one before. Lo-fi, chill, deep reflections, right? So now I'm gonna go back to my GPT and I'm gonna ask the GPT to write me a three verse 16 uh 16 bars each verse song based on this structure. And then I'm just going to paste that in. And let's see. Suggested topics: vulnerability, posting without fear, building resonance, and talk about the current war going on and talk about being fired from a prominent position. Make the song introspective and use metaphors that grab the listener. Do not use generic AI phrases and language. Keep it real. All right. Okay. Also, knowing what we know from previous ones, right? Want to say include a title and the styling of the song. All right. So let's see. Let's see what it gives us. Now, I don't like the name of the song, Quiet Waves, but I assume it gave that because it's a lo-fi chill, deep reflection. Of course, we could change the name of our song however we want, right? But we're going to go over to our favorite tool, which let me go back to the document so you can see, right? Because we clicked on the GPT from here, and right here, you see you got access to one of our favorite tools that we use. So we're going to use Suno. And matter of fact, we might just, I got time. So let's 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 try both. I'm gonna pull up producer AI also, right? And we're gonna do somewhat of a test. We want to see. Matter of fact, see that's my invite link. So let me just get back in there, right? And so now I'm gonna start setting up the structure in Suno first. And let me just refresh the Suno page because you know I'm constantly working with Suno. I'm constantly using it to create stuff. So I want to start off fresh, quiet waves, go to the chat GPT, style, lo-fi chill, piano, copy, go into the style section, paste that in. Next, we're gonna go into the lyrics, male vocals, right? Let's see, loopable, loopable. All right. Into the lyrics. All right. Now we have everything laid out. We have the title, we have the style, we have the lyrics, and see in the more options section, we have the opportunity to either increase the weirdness or increase the style influence. So I usually like to increase the style influence to like a 75, right? Because I want it to really reflect the style of what we're going for. And then I'm gonna press this right here for the vocal gender. It's a male song. So we're gonna go there. We got everything there. Hit the create button. Now we're gonna go back to the GPT and let me start from the bottom here because producer AI is a little bit different. And it's probably because I'm using the free version of it. You can just copy this whole thing and I'm just going to say uh, create this song. And I haven't spent a lot of time using producer AI. So, you know, when it comes to prompting it, I still got to, do some things figure out what works best for me when it comes to prompting. But this is more like a chat GPT style of prompting and creating music. Unlike Suno, where you have the different sections like that, but this is more like a chat GPT. Like I'm just gonna paste the whole thing of what chat GPT gave me and put it in here. Create this song, Control V, and let's see what it gives us. Now it's going to be thinking, doing its thing, and of course we know that Suno should already be done. And as you can see here, it's going through the emotions here, creating quiet waves. Just like Suno, it creates two versions, right? So we'll have two versions of this song. So let's go back to Suno and let's hear exactly what Suno produced. We only going to listen to one track. So in all of our tests, all of our times that we've done something live and we've created a song, right? It's been pretty good every time. We've created some good music. We've been 100%, but this time I'm doing a different style. So, I don't like everything.
I used to rehearse every sentence in my head like court
Alright, so
dates.
now I hear
Imaginaries
music.
judging
So
every word I
producer
say.
AI
Scrolling through timelines like
said
a
that
window with
they
no
ain't
curtains.
waiting.
Everybody posing like pain ain't a real person. My thoughts move slow
They just
like
got
smoke
right
in
to
a
it.
dim room. Fear got a voice that whispers louder than truth. I
Let them
write
go
something
first then.
real, then erase it like graffiti. Like honesty was contraband and silence was the treaty. Saw hell another country ducking shadows we can't see while I'm over here worried about a comment or a caption. Funny how perspective turns anxiety to fractions. Then the phone rang, said the board made a decision. Years of late nights erased a 5-minute dismissal. Prominent title gone like fog in September. Stripped with the quiet like it owed me an answer. Realized the silence was a teacher, not a cancer. Even quiet voices move waves. Even whispers shake the shore sometimes. Even quiet voices move waves. Truth, don't gotta shout to change minds. Yeah. Look. They told us perfection was the price of attention. So everybody edits the truth like a politician. But life ain't a highlight reel. It's coffee getting cold while the world burns on the news. Or somewhere bombs carve craters. Craters in the city nobody here can pronounce. I learned something when they cleared my desk. Titles are just rented jackets. The soul under's rented jackets. The soul underneath still breathes. Now when I post, it's fingerprints on the glass, it's fingerprints on the glass. A picture of the sky after rain. A thought that hit me while the train passed by. A sense that sounds like truth even if it trembles. Because somebody out there scrolling at 2 a.m. needs to know their doubts ain't a defect. Real moments, that's the currency, perfection. That's just expensive silence. Even quiet voices move waves. Even whispers shake the shore sometimes. Even quiet voices move waves. Truth, don't gotta shout to change minds. You don't need a megaphone to echo through a soul. Some of the deepest rivers barely make sound when they roll. Think about the moon, never screams at the ocean. Still pulls entire tides with envision felt hollow. But the quiet ones tell stories people needed to follow. A man without a title still got breath in his lung. War drums beating in the distance of the globe. So if your voice feels small like a candle in rain, post a thought, shed a scar, let the realness show. Because somebody somewhere needs that glow. You don't have to roar like thunder through the air. Sometimes truth just sits and lets the ripples appear. Even quiet voices move waves. Even whispers shake the shore sometimes. Even quiet voices move waves. Truth, don't gotta shout to change minds.
All right, so that right there, it was pretty decent. It was decent. It was decent. Now, I will have to be honest. Producer AI, I've noticed in a few songs that producer AI, the artists, whatever, they mispronounce some words, a lot of words sometimes. I heard some mispronunciations in there. So that's one thing that I have noticed. But overall, that was a pretty decent song. Another thing that I noticed too is that usually they create songs that are a lot shorter. So that song didn't even hit 3 minutes, right? That was 2 minutes 44 seconds, which in some cases, people like shorter, get to it type of songs, but I like my song to be at least, 3.5 minutes, 4 minute song. I like full verse type of music and everything, right? But that was pretty decent. Now we have the two options on Suno, and both of them are right at about 4 minutes. 3 minutes and 59 seconds is this one right here we're going to listen to. And let's see, give your opinion in the comments. If you're watching live, put a one in the comments. And we're going to judge. I want you to be the judge. Which one you like better? It seems like Suno also gives a lot more intro time. They don't just
I
jump
used to
into it.
rehearse every sentence in my head like court dates. Imaginary juries judging every word I say. Scrolling through timelines like a window with no curtains. Everybody posing like pain ain't a real person. My thoughts move slow like smoke in a dim room. Fear got a voice that whispers louder than truth. I write something real, then erase it like graffiti. Like honesty was contraband and silence was the treaty. Saw headlines screaming, war on the morning TV. Kids in another country ducking shadows we can't see. While I'm over here worry about a comment or a caption. Funny how perspective turns anxiety to fractions. Then the phone rang, said the board made a decision. Years of late nights erased in a 5-minute dismissal. Prominent title gone like fog in September. Stripped of the armor, left alone with the ember. I sat with the quiet like it owed me an answer. Realized the silence was a teacher, not a cancer. Even quiet voices move waves. Even whispers shake the shore sometimes. Even quiet voices move waves. Truth don't gotta shout to change minds. Even quiet voices move waves. Even whispers shake the shore sometimes. Even quiet voices move waves. Truth don't gotta shout to change minds. They told us perfection was the price of attention. So everybody edits the truth like a politician. But life ain't a highlight reel. It's coffee getting cold while the world burns on the news. It's layoffs in a glass office while somewhere bombs carve craters in a city nobody here can pronounce. I learned something when they cleared my desk. Titles are just rented jackets. The soul underneath still breathes. So now when I post it ain't polished. It's fingerprints on the glass. A picture of the sky after rain. A thought that hit me while the train passed by. A sentence that sounds like truth even if it trembles. Because somebody out there scrolling at 2 a.m. needs to know their doubts ain't a defect. Real moments, that's the currency, perfection. That's just expensive silence. Even quiet voices move waves. Even whispers shake the shore sometimes. Even quiet voices move waves. Truth don't gotta shout to change minds. Even quiet voices move waves. Even whispers shake the shore sometimes. Even quiet voices move waves. Truth don't gotta shout to change minds. You don't need a megaphone to echo through a soul. Some of the deepest rivers barely make a sound when they roll. Think about the moon, never screams at the ocean. Still pulls entire ties with invisible devotion. The loudest rooms I ever stood in felt hollow. But the quiet ones held stories people needed to follow. A man without a title still got breath in his lungs. Still got words like seeds on the tip of his tongue. War drums beating in the distance of the globe. But peace sometimes starts in a sentence we wrote. So if your voice feels small like a candle in rain, just remember every lighthouse started with a flame. Post a thought, share the scar, let the realness show. Because somebody somewhere needs that glow. You don't have to roar like thunder through the air. Sometimes truth just sits and lets the ripples appear. Even quiet voices move waves. Even whispers shake the shore sometimes. Even quiet voices move waves. Truth don't gotta shout to change minds. Even quiet voices move waves. Even whispers shake the shore sometimes. Even quiet voices move waves. Truth don't gotta shout to change minds.
Now, let me know what you guys think. Which one sounded better? Me myself, I kind of forget what I kind of forget what the producer AI one sound like at this point. I kind of forget how the producer AI one really sound. But I have my opinion. Um, Me personally, I like what Suno does better. Suno, they say that AI music doesn't have a soul. It's not, of course, it's not real people. It's just computer generated. But if you were to compare the two and say, which one would you have thought was the real artist and which one has more soul? I would say that Suno seemingly it puts more of the soul in it. And it could be for a couple of different reasons for me personally. It could be because it gives that intro in the beginning, it gives that little, lead in, and the vibe, the artist itself, that right there wasn't using any persona. That was just using whatever constructed voice based on the style. So the 75% style. Now in producer AI, it went off the whole complete prompt, but I'm looking and I'm wondering, I want to know exactly what it uses to determine its, sound and everything. I want to really get to know producer AI a little bit better to really see how to dial in. And of course, it might require me to do the paid subscription in order to see if it has the ability to create personas so I can have like a consistent artist. But like I said, it could come all down to the prompting. Prompting it, hey, I wanted to have an extended intro. I wanted to lead into the lyrics. Don't just jump right into it. Maybe I can talk to it and tell it exactly that. And as you can see down here, it says it got two takes on the quiet waves coming up for you. The first stays true to that dusty lo-fi reflection, while the second leans into a warmer acoustic soul vibe to really capture the weight of those lyrics. Let's see which one resonates more with the message. Now, I like that. I like being able to interact with it. I like the fact that it kind of talks to you and tells you. Now with Suno, it creates the two tracks. You don't know what two tracks gonna sound like. I'm not gonna play the second song, but this right here, it lets us know what the first one was really going for, and then it lets you know what the second one was going for. It's kind of like you talking to the engineer, the person that, the producer. They're telling you what it is that they put into this music, and it can turn into more of a back and forth type of situation where you're really communicating and you're uh really crafting some stuff. You might say, hey, I want to change up some of those lyrics. I want you to add this to that. I like this part, I like that, but I don't like that. Whereas with Suno, it kind of it creates what it creates. And if you want to change it up, you can, but you have to go through manual changes and create and recreating. You're not just going to say to it, hey, change this up. You can go remaster it. You can extend it if you want, add more lyrics, but it's a lot more manual. It's a lot more manual when it comes to creating, which could be good and bad. So depending, when I think about it right off top, I'm thinking about like the credit limits in Suno. Let's say with Suno on the paid plan, you're able to generate 250 songs as it is right now. Hopefully they don't change that. So 250 songs, that's technically 500 songs, right? You put in your all the information like you just saw us do. It creates the two songs. You like it or you don't. You might ask it to generate again. You press the regenerate button again. It does it. You like that one, right? Cool. Now with this right here, if I didn't like this, now let's say this has a 250 song a month capacity, and I don't like this first one. Now I'm able to communicate with it like it's a chat GPT and say, hey, change these lyrics up right here. I want you to change this up, boom, boom, boom. And then it does it. And then you like, okay, I like this version, but now since I have so much more control and power over it, I might be more inclined to say, well, that beginning part, I want you to add some more ad libs in between the first verse and the second verse and the third verse. I want you to add some more ad libs in there. And then you start messaging back to the AI, and then it creates another version adding the ad libs. Then you like, well, you know something, I like those ad libs, but I want you to change it. I want the ad libs to say this instead of that, instead of what you said. Now you're getting to the point where you're having a good time, you're enjoying it, but you'll never end up being satisfied because it'll be so much about you communicating. It's kind of like somebody, you having an employee and they can do everything, and they do some work and you like, well, man, this work right here is good. And they like, well, I could do better. And you like, oh, really? You can do better? Well, okay, well, shoot, if you can, then change this up right here. I want you to give me that right there. And then they do that for you. And then they come back again and say, okay, this is this is that. I can do better. And you like, damn, well, you can still do better. Like right here it says more rain ambiance, warm soul remix, spoken word version. Okay, now I can just press the button and they're gonna give me this version. Like, okay, now I like that. Now you have 4 or 5 different versions of the same song. Now you done ran through a lot of credits. You done ran through a lot of credits trying to create something perfect, and you may never get to that perfection because you have so much ability to do better, so to speak. To, okay, I'm gonna add this, I'm gonna add that. Whereas with Suno, it's customizable, but it's going to require you to put in a little bit more work. You got to change this. You got to go into this right here, add some more lyrics, whatever, do what you have to do to make it give you more. And it's not going to give you the suggestions. It's not going to tell you what it is. Like I said, it could be a positive or a negative, depending on how you look at it. You could find yourself running out of a lot of credits. By the end of the month, you could find that you have, or halfway through the month with this, you might find that, man, you wish you had more credits. And especially if you're using the free version, you're like, okay, let me do a warm soul, then let me do a spoken word version, and then you find out, okay, my daily limit is this. Oh man, I spent it all on one song. It's good from a business standpoint. It might make you want to upgrade faster. So it's always, as we mentioned earlier, it's always multiple ways to look at a situation. So I told you guys I wasn't going to hold you for too long today, but I went over an hour. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hopefully you found something. Hopefully you found a lot of edutainment in this. You've heard some good music. Hopefully you've been able to have somewhat of a mindset shift that's going to help you in your business and your overall life. We're going to close out like we always do. And since today is Freedom Friday, I want to close out with 2 songs. One song, of course, we already know our outro that we use, but the other song is going to be one of our other amazing songs that's featured on the album of the year, the Welcome to the Hustleverse album. Now, if you don't have access to that album, you can get access to it by, just being part of the Hustleverse, getting started, scrolling up to the top of the document, clicking this second line right here, getting access to your mega link, your profit center. which gives you your foundational skills, your education on building an online business, because we don't just create music for the sake of creating music. And the reason why I could say that I make the best music in the world is because it provides you with not just something for you to listen to, something for you to feel, something for you to get inspired and motivated by, but it's also attached to a system that's designed to help you become more profitable. See, if it was a real artist and, they created a song, an album, whatever, they sell you the album and nothing else would come with it. You will have that feeling, that enjoyment of listening to the album or the song or whatever. And then once when that's over, it's done. But with what we have to offer, it comes bundled with a whole opportunity for you to actually earn an income and be able to build a better life. And there's no other music on the planet that's designed to do that. So that's part of the reason why the Welcome to the Hustleverse album is the album of the year, AI generated or human generated. So it is what it is, just how I feel, right? But let's pull up that song that I want to share with you guys. I have a lot of things here. I just have to scroll through my documents, through my files so I can find it. And it's one of my favorite music videos so far because it's it blends AI technology with um royalty-free videos, and it was all created or put together with one of my favorite tools ever, which is called Video Express, which if you want lifetime access to this tool, meaning you pay one time and you have access to it for life, and you also get unlimited usage, so you don't have to worry about being capped by credits. So there's no monthly credits, just like it is with 99% of all the other AI tools. This does not have any limits. And it also provides you with a video editor at the same time. So once when you're generating your AI videos, once when you generate your AI videos, you drag them over to the timeline and you can actually produce your video right there without using another software. And you can do it in the vertical or you can do it in landscape mode, right? And then once when you do that, after you do that, right? After you export the video, then I know a lot of people, this is something that I haven't talked about before. I haven't talked about this, but I know a lot of people find value in this and they pay other service providers monthly just for this one feature. But this right here that says automatic captions. So you can press that button right there and it'll take you to another tool that's included with this that will allow you to put the captions at the bottom of your video. Just like you saw in the beginning intro, that surfing video where they had the captions at the bottom. So that was done using that particular tool there, and it's included when you get Video Express. And there's no monthly fees for it. So you don't have to pay for any other software to do that. No other software to generate the pictures, no other software to generate the video, no other software needed to edit the video, put it all together, stream it together. So this right here is an unbeatable deal. So if you're interested in getting access to this particular tool, I will have the link in the description. And as a, advisement, if you do decide to purchase anything that I suggest, I may get a commission from what you purchase. And that's at no additional cost to you. So you don't pay more. That's what we call affiliate marketing, where you have the ability to promote products and services that you use on a daily basis, that you enjoy, that you know for a fact work, and that you're proud enough to share it with other people. And when they use it and they enjoy it, you actually get a commission. So that's what we do here by providing that value. And there's no better type of opportunity than to be an affiliate marketer. So with that, I'm gonna close out. I'm gonna fade to the back. I'm gonna play that music video, which is Hustleberry's song featured on the Welcome to the Hustleverse album called Vacation Proof. See you guys in the next video.
I won't promise millions falling out the blue, but I can promise the sky gon' still turn blue. Sunrise faithful, sun stay true. Same way to work gon' work for you. No fake dreams, no flashy proof. Just solid ground and a clearer view. What I teach don't fade when you step away. What I build with you, vacation proof. They sell beaches like it's freedom in the frame. Stock photo champagne, somebody else's name. But I've been on sand where the phone still ring. Bills don't pause just cause ocean waves sing. So I stopped selling pictures, started selling truth. If it can't last offline, it ain't bulletproof. I won't tell you life gon' change overnight, but I'll show you skills that compound with time. I can't promise ease, I can't promise tools. Ones that work at home or staring at views. I can't promise effort gon' sharpen your aim, and clarity gon' put respect on your name. Sun come up whether you hustle or not. Sun go down whether the post go high. So I build something steady, simple and true. Not hype-based living, but vacant. I won't promise millions falling out the blue, but I promise sky gon' still turn new. Sunrise faithful, sun stay true. Same way to work gon' work for you. No fake dreams, no flashy proof. Just solid ground and a clearer view. What I teach don't fade when you step away. What I build with you, vacation proof. I seen folks sell freedom they never use. Always one call away from losing the groove. If you gotta babysit every result, that ain't freedom, that's a fragile vault. So I talk about systems, not fantasies. About habits that don't panic when you leave. I won't tell you set it and forget, but I'll teach you foundations that don't reset. Real tools, real skill, real repetition. That's how pressure turns into position. I don't sell escape, I sell understanding. So your income ain't based on constant demanding. If the beach got Wi-Fi, cool, check the view. But if it don't, you still gon' make it through. That's peace, not just a backdrop cue. That's how you know it's vacation proof. I can't promise perfection or a stress-free life, but I can promise growth if you show up right. I can't promise riches without no work, but I can promise truth before I promise perk. I don't flex with captions, I flex with calm. Knowing things move even when I'm gone. I don't chase urgency, I teach direction. So effort turn into connection. You don't need a jet to feel alive. You need a plan that don't collapse with time. I want you confident without my voice. Able to move smart with your own choice. That's why I teach the why, not just the link. Teach you how to fish, not just what I think. If the only promise is trust me, friend, and the trust gon' break when the trend gon' end. So I anchor dreams in what I know is true. Sun gon' rise, sun gon' set, tools gon' work if you do. There's freedom rooted, not something you chase. It travels with you to every place. I won't promise millions falling out the blue, but I promise this sky gon' still turn new. Sunrise faithful, sun stay true. Same way to work gon' work for you. No fake dreams, no flashy proof. Just solid ground and a clearer view. What I teach don't fade when you step away. What we build together, vacation proof, vacation proof. up to silence. Dreams still heavy. Phone screen dry, but my vision stays steady. Mama said, baby, that job ain't your lane. But I clocked in anyway, chasing someone else's gain. That got me dancing with denial at night. Scrolling for hope, but it's hidden from sight. 10 minutes a day, sounded small at first. But in silence, even whispers can quench a thirst. Notebook in hand, wrote my future in ink. Mapped out my mission before I started to sink. Every post was a prayer, every share had weight. I wasn't selling a link, I was shifting fate. I found my rhythm in the quietest place, where hustle meant healing and grind meant grace. From the corner of doubt, I carved my space. Legacy ain't loud, but it wins the race. 10 minutes a day, brick by brick, built from the bottom, now the vision stick. No hype, no cap, just clarity. This ain't just income, it's legacy. Every click, every song I create etches my name where they can't erase. You can doubt, but you gon' see. 10 minutes a day turned into legacy. People laugh, said she doing too much. Till my PayPal pinged and they changed up the touch. No big brand, no six-figure crew, just a mic, some lyrics, and a dream that grew. Tired of waiting for the gatekeeper's call, so I built my own stage, held my own hall. Suno on deck, that's the beat in my chest. GPT spitting like I'm born to impress. Said I'd never make it, cool, noted. But now my bars turn pain into coated. From broken to branded, I ain't asked for fame, I asked for freedom and I claim my name now. Hustle berry on loop like healing chants, for the girls who grew up with limited chance. This is more than a challenge, it's breaking the chain. Cause 10 minutes a day rewired my brain. 10 minutes a day, brick by brick, built from the bottom, now the vision stick. No hype, no cap, just clarity. This ain't just income, it's legacy. Every click, every song I create etches my name where they can't erase. You can doubt, but you gon' see. 10 minutes a day turned into legacy. Now my daughter sees me different, eyes full of fire. She said, Ma, your words lift me higher. This ain't a hustle, this a heart-led path, where math meets message and message meets math. Community over clicks, value over hype. I ain't here to trend, I'm here to type. Blueprints for the ones still stuck in fear. Let them borrow my belief till their purpose clear. Haters still quiet, but I'm loud with grace. Posting in peace, not a mask on my face. Every bar I drop, every